All right, what's up, everybody? Clint Esposito here with another episode of the Clint Files. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of stretching, which a lot of people seem to overlook. I just had a conversation with somebody at work the other day who was saying that his back was super tight and it hurt so bad. And I go, "Do you stretch?" And his literal answer was, "No, I need the gyms to open back up." And I'm like, working out may help a little bit, but ultimately you still have to stretch. So maybe he's getting relief because the muscle is at least active. I don't know. But you have to balance the stuff that you do in the gym, weights, stuff like that, with stretching. Also, people want to get jacked, ripped, whatever. Stretching, one, stretches the muscles out, and the muscle fibers, so that way the muscle is actually able to get larger because it's got more volume to fill in the cells. If you don't stretch those cells out, then they don't really want to expand outward either. Two, if you just lift weights and that's all you do and you don't stretch, you're going to get super tight, and that's not going to be any good either. You're going to lose the range of motion. So those are all issues. Also with injuries, if you have injuries, getting the joint moving, getting the flexibility and the full range of motion back in the joint is a really big problem itself. So there's definitely for rehabbing, but even if you're just working out, most of the tightness and the pain in your body comes from just muscles being too tight and you having an imbalance in your body. So I had one crash that was real bad. I landed on my back and I was actually kind of like kinked over there for a while. And I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And I went to do, hold on to my legs and wrap my arms around my legs and roll onto my back. And every time I would do that, I would fall over to the left side. And I finally figured it out that the knot in my back was so bad, it actually set up like an extra half, 3/4 of an inch because the knot was so big. So I would inadvertently just fall over every time. And the way that I got rid of that was by doing Plow Pose, which is, I'll be able to demonstrate it, but for people on audio, it's a yoga pose. You basically lay down flat on your back and then roll your legs up over your head and touch your toes to the floor or whatever above your head with your legs straight. Now that's going to stretch your hamstrings, your lower back, your glutes, all that stuff. Which brings me to another thing people don't realize is that we have fascia and tendons and ligaments running all the way from the bottoms of our feet, up to our necks basically. And they are connected in some way. So a lot of times tightness in your legs or your lower back or vice versa, tightness in your back will cause pain in your lower legs, stuff like that. So you really do have to keep your tendons, ligaments, muscles, everything stretched out so that your body can move and operate correctly. I actually have something pulled up here by the Mayo Clinic, which is, they're talking about the benefits of stretching. And I'll go through some of them. Benefits of stretching. Studies about the benefits of stretching have had mixed results. Some research shows that stretching doesn't reduce muscle soreness after exercise, and others show that lengthening the muscle and holding the stretch immediately before a sprint may worsen performance. Now, I don't know why they would start off with that. But I will say that I don't know about muscle soreness either. I think once you've torn the muscle, stretching afterwards, I don't see how that would help you not be sore. You're just like making more trauma for the muscle at that point if it's already torn. Because basically lifting, you're kind of tearing the muscles a little bit. And then the body repairs those tears, which is why you get bigger. But so if you've already torn the muscles and now you stretch it, it's not going to not be torn. Like, it's a silly premise. The other thing is stretching before a sprint may slightly worsen performance. Okay, now this is my boy Anthony Nieves down in Atlanta. He was a Muay Thai guy, and I trained with him for a while. And he had actually said that, told me before you work out, you don't do, especially anything fighting, like, and motocross really, well, more freestyle, but anything where you want to have explosive power, kind of fast reactions, you don't want to stretch before that because you want the muscle still like kind of bound up and tight so that way it's ready to go. The other thing is that stretching the muscle actually releases a little bit of toxins inside the muscle. So I always felt really fucked up when I would stretch, like do long static stretching and then try to work out. I didn't ever feel any good. And he told me that that was some of the reason was because you do have toxins in your muscle, your body's holding on to stuff, and then when you stretch, it releases that. So those are two thoughts on static stretching. Now by static, I mean when you just do a stretch and then you hold it. What he did suggest, and this actually mentions it finally at the very end of the article, basically you want to do stretching where you're just moving around through the motions that you're going to do in your exercise or whatever. So like kicking your legs or something like that. You want to do motions like that, like swing into them and stuff and make your body move through those movements without stopping, still being in motion, versus static, whereas where you just say bend over and hold your feet for an extended period of time. So you don't want to do that prior to a workout. You want to just get moving around, swing across, you know what I mean, spin around. That's more of a dynamic movement, and those are better to warm yourself up before an actual event. Let's see some of the stuff. Stretching essentials. Don't consider stretching a warm-up. You could hurt yourself. Cold muscles. So it's kind of going back to what I said. Just do more movements and warm yourself up and go through motions. Maybe squat down, deep. And just get moving that way. Strive for symmetry. This also goes with people with injuries as well. A lot of my stretching is trying to get my left leg to move as much as my right leg does. So even if you have an injury or you don't have an injury, you could be favoring a part of your body or something, and overusing one side, so you will end up being, like this says anyway, uneven, because you're not even realizing it. You don't even realize that now, because my left leg was hurt for so long, I have to force myself to stand on my left leg throughout the day. I just find myself, I did it for so long, just force myself to stand on my right one, that I'm now trying to unprogram it. But in the meantime, you end up making yourself uneven because you're putting way more pressure, or you're just the amount of time that I put, weight on my right leg. I find myself pivoting on it and standing on it at work and stuff like that. When I go to work out, my right leg's usually already tired because it's done so much more. So I'm kind of getting off of, the point is that you get uneven because you use things more, and maybe you didn't even have that bad of an injury, but you just kind of are favoring something. So that's why it's very important to just try and make sure you match your flexibility and that both of your whatever, especially legs, hips, are opened up somewhat evenly so that you're not creating damage and wear and tear on the other side that's compensating, which is a huge thing. Focus on major muscle groups. Concentrate your stretches on major muscle groups such as calves, thighs, hips, lower back, neck, and shoulders. Make sure to stretch both sides. There you go. This says don't bounce. If you're static stretching, don't bounce. But obviously if you're doing like a dynamic stretch where you're moving, then you can bounce a little bit. You're not trying to get super deep in anything anyway when you're doing dynamic stretching. The other thing what they said about focus on major muscle groups, and what they say, lower back, legs, hips, neck, shoulders. Those are everybody's tight spots for the most part, especially hips. The amount of people that have super tight hips is ridiculous. So, and that also, hip tightness causes your back to hurt or your legs to hurt. So once again, keep in mind, if your back is hurting, it might not even necessarily be in your back. It might be the fact that your hips are so tight, you're compensating with your back. So this is obviously not a cure-all for everything, but I would say that most people's problems with tight, I'm so stiff and this and that, my neck's screwed up. Obviously there's disc issues and stuff like that, and even listen, your back being so screwed up, like when my back was so tight that I was kinked over sideways, that was for sure causing issue with my discs. There's no way that it wasn't. So keep in mind that your muscles being uneven and pulling you certain ways can 100% affect. So a lot of your issues with joints and stuff like that with your skeleton can be caused by the muscles being super uneven and pulling the joint a certain way to one side or the other. I had an issue with my knees when I was young where they said the kneecap didn't ride in the center. It's supposed to ride in a groove. It rode off to the side because the tendons or something on the one side of my knee was tighter than the other side. So they just gave me a bunch of stretching exercises, which I never really followed up on. But, I'm here to preach about stretching now. I was young. Hold your stretch for 30 seconds. Breathe normally. I would try and breathe nice and deep. It's really good if you get into a stretch and you get your body at a certain angle, a different angle. And you try to fill your lungs as much and expand all those muscles around your rib cage and everything as well. Don't aim for pain. Stretching should be fun. You should want to do it every day. And if it's not fun, it's at least makes you feel better afterwards. So don't aim for pain. Just get yourself. You're not trying to be a champion on day one, like anything. All right. So you're going to start where you're at and then just consistently, you're going to just notice everything I say about everything, working out, getting in shape, getting lean, stretching, everything is consistency. The more you do it, the more your body goes, oh, this is what we do, which is the ultimate goal. You're trying to train your body to be flexible all the time. You're trying to train your body to be strong all the time so that everyday life, all day, you're not going to tear a muscle and you're strong enough to lift boxes and whatnot. So I'm not jacked. I'm just trying to be kind of ripped and not jacked, right? But make stretching sport specific. Like I said, if you're doing Muay Thai and you got a kick, you want to, before you start, loosen up your hips, turn, get your back going, stuff like that, so that you're already warmed up for the activity. Keep up with your stretching. Again, like I said, consistency. You want your body will adapt to anything. You just have to do it enough that your body thinks that like this is what we do, so it becomes normal. And then bring movement into your stretches, such as those in Tai Chi or yoga. Again, that's not really bouncing. You're just kind of, it's super close to the dynamic stretching. When you get into your stretches, you move around a little bit to find the tight spots. I'll do another one later. I think I have a guest for this about really deep stretching and actually tension and trauma from, say you got injured in a car accident. I got injured on a bike a bunch of times. And some of the trauma and stuff and the emotions gets actually stuck in those body parts. So that's a very interesting thing I'd like to touch on in the future. So again, everybody, stretch, stretch, stretch. Don't go for broke every day. I'm never going to tell you to try to kill yourself in one day because it's not going to work. Stretch consistently, work out consistently, do everything as often as you can, and find stretches and exercises and ways to work out that you enjoy so that you can do it super often and you don't get tired of it or hate your life. You don't want to feel forced to do any of this shit. You're doing it because you want to feel better. So find stuff that's fun. But make it happen often. All right, people. This is the Clint Files on stretching. Please, everybody, visit our sponsor, Hero Soap. If you go to the freethinker.tv website, you can actually click right on the link. That's our link. It'll show that you guys came from us, and it'll help support the show a little bit. So please, everybody, visit Hero Soap. Actually, visit freethinker.tv, then click the link and go to Hero Soap. It's also up on our Twitter page too. I got the link on there. So if you go to Twitter, if you go to the Freethinker TV Twitter and you see the Hero Soap logo, click on that. That'll take you right to the site too, and that'll register for us. Once again, we got some actually really cool stuff coming on. Float Tank podcast, hopefully cryo, and some other things about getting you healthy and feeling good. We want to feel good. So, peace. Later. What's up, everybody? We're going to do a little bit of demonstration in some of these stretches that I was talking about. So, first off, your back. I know I'm probably blown out by the window behind me, but you can start Indian style and just go side to side. Try to put your elbow down. If you can put your elbow down and keep your other butt cheek down, good. If you can't get if your butt cheek comes up, don't put your elbow down. Just lean over. That's good for your back. Another good thing for your back, twists. So you want to lay your one leg down, stand your other leg over. Now you're going to post around and twist. Now this is not only good for loosening your back, but you're going to kind of twist your organs a little bit, which actually helps digestion and stuff like that. Alright, I'll do complete back. Here's one of my favorites, Plow. This definitely helped fix my back. You're going to lay down and then just bring your legs over top, legs straight, and have them touch the ground behind you. Now, you can roll, go side to side a little bit. That one, I believe, fixed my back. What I was talking about with that big knot, I believe that stretched that knot out because, like I said, it pulls all the way from the back of your legs all the way up around, stretching basically your whole backside from top to bottom out. Another thing I like to do for hips, and this is a little bit advanced, but stack. So I'm going to put my ankle directly on top of my other knee. Right? And it may take a little bit, but you want to get them stacked flat as possible. Again, make sure your butt is seated nice and square, and then you can deepen it by leaning forward. And let me tell you, my hips hurt. You're gonna switch, other side. Again, everything is both sides. This is actually my worst side. So, try and get that to go down, and then you can, another thing for hips, it's really what we're gonna work on. Most people, hips are super tight. Just this. So you want to drop your hips down until you feel the pressure in the front and kind of stretching it out. Sorry, they feel good. Another thing you can do, especially for hips, this is a cheap way to do it. 4-inch PVC regular pipe. It's not even cut straight. I just chopped it off with a saw. But you can lay that down and then get into those spots, which again, super tight. And I use this for my hips and my back. I have some knots in my hips, so I'm just doing that myself. Another thing, I'm just doing the bare minimum here, the basics that I kind of touch on all the time. The other thing is your neck. A lot of people have issues in their necks, so you just want to sit up. You're trying to stretch your neck up this whole time and go back and forth. Again, any of this stuff, if you have pain, don't do it, or be very, very, very delicate. You're not trying to force anything, especially if it's, well, I'll always go with this. Sharp pain, don't do that. If it's a little bit of a duller pain, that means you're probably to the point of starting to recover already, so it's probably not as detrimental. But if you have sharp pain, don't do it. Another thing is just side to side, and you're just pushing it, you know, using the muscles in the neck itself to actually go full motion, and you can roll it. Now, if you're rolling like that, they say never to go back, because you're not really supposed to go that way. Although I know contortionist people that could bend backwards, but I don't know. But they say don't go backwards. So I try to avoid going too far back. So those are your main, oh, one more for you, which also works for your lower back. It's a lot like plow, but you're just gonna stand, and then you can hang, or you can pull. But this is super similar to plow. And you can also do it legs together. So, those are some really good stretches that I basically do every day. I'm going to give you one more. I just remembered. Go as wide as I can. Grab onto my toes. And then I will go side to side as well. Now this is getting your hamstrings, your hips a little bit, and your back and your sides, especially once you go like this. That really gets this hamstring and my sides and back stretch out really good. So, and I'm trying to get a little wider like a split, but I'm not really even close at all. But those are the stretches I do pretty much every day, so I'm not the Hunchback or Notre Dame. So try some of those. Don't go too hard. Take it easy. You want to feel good. Remember that. I'm really going this time.